Hello again, esteemed.
The display rack. This is entirely rows and rows of helium, maybe 100. The display rack before you. A small mountain of colorful board game books.
Wonderful choice, sir. If you say so.
Shelves filled to the brim with crime.
Of course.
Shelves full of bio. This bookstore is not. Several maps. The maps look old and faded. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers. In your hands, you hold a brand new copy of the game, Suzerainty. It's snugly wrapped in a skin of plastic. The cover features a charming illustration depicting a mass of grinning laborers loading goods onto a ship, while a richly dressed administrator oversees their work. The exact location and time period are left deliberately vague, but it's clearly meant to represent the economic relationship between the Revacholian suzerainty and its many vassals. The box has a nice heft to it. You hear the rattle of individual wooden tokens and feel their weight shifting back and forth. What treasures wait in store for you? Even before you open it, you can tell that this will be a meaty game of grand strategy and complex player interactions. The plastic wrap rips off as easily as a bodice in a tawdry historical romance. There's a hiss as the lid slides off. Inside, you find a thick, full-color rulebook and more than a dozen pouches of various wooden components. Savor that new board game smell. A mix of wood, paper, and ink, all wrapped in the sweet must of cardboard. Welcome to Suzerainty, a game of economic strategy for the whole family. The rulebook is sumptuously illustrated and thick as a Gradian novel. The colorful illustrations depict cheerful workers picking apricots, hauling marble sculptures out of crumbling temples, and harvesting a strange magenta-leafed plant. Everyone is smiling. You begin to suspect there may be a political agenda to this so-called family game. Only one way to find out. The instructions are opaque at first and introduce many concepts you're not familiar with. Fortunately, you soon figure out the basic conceit. Each player represents an administrator for the suzerain of Revachol. Your objective is to increase the suzerain's wealth and renown by accumulating victory points. That's where the suzerain's vassals come in. The game features 4 vassal nations, each one home to an economically important resource. Each turn, the player collects resources from vassals where they've placed workers. They may then rearrange their workers, fulfill contracts for coin and bonuses, or build structures back in Revachol. As you leaf through the pages, your eye catches on a sidebar labeled Advice for Beginners. Remember, there are many paths to victory in Suzerainty, but successful players will find one strategy and commit to it wholeheartedly. Boring, boring, boring. Tear up this rulebook and commit some old-school atrocities. Suzerainty is a family game. The only atrocities you'll be committing are against the social standing of your rival administrators as you bring in ever more resources and power for the suzerain. Speaking of, the actual scoring system appears infinitely complex, with a series of tables and appendices required to compute each player's final victory point total. You skip that part for now. You open up a number of pouches containing wooden tokens. There are also several punch boards with other cardboard components that will need to be punched out before you can play. Each cardboard token makes a satisfying ch as you pop it out. Soon, a neat pile of cardboard coins and counters has accumulated before you.
What? You're not going to offer to let me punch any of them out?
In addition to the worker and building tokens used by each player, there are also several piles of colorful resource tokens, each representing one of the game's 4 principal resources. From the Empire of Safre, orange apricot tokens. From Ilmarat, the ancestral name of Ilmara, gray marble block tokens. From the Seminine Islands, white sacks of sugar tokens. And from Supra Muindi and Sara Maritza, magenta tokens for unprocessed cocaine leaves.
Oh, those are nice.
You hold the open game box before you. The lieutenant looks over the rulebook before he sees something that makes his eyes go wide.
Holy shit. The average playing time for this game is 1 to 6 hours. I'm not sure we can afford to set aside that kind of time for a game.
What is detective work if not an elaborate game? You need logical inference, attention to detail, the ability to analyze your opponent's motives.
I do feel like my thinking has become somewhat rigid. Maybe a little diversion to keep the mind limber is just what's in order.
See? He's doing the hard work himself. All he needed was a little nudge.
All right, you've convinced me. How do we play?
You explain the basic setup procedures to the lieutenant, who seems to be a quick study. You each take your bag of tokens and counters and unfold the board between you. In the center is the crown of Revachon. Radiating outward are her colorful vessels, each one supplying some raw material desired by the suzerain. Apricots from Safre, archaeological treasures from Ilmarat, sugars from the Seminine Islands, and magenta cocaine from Supra Muindi and Sara Maritza. There's also a neat little log to keep track of your progress in case you need to put the game away and return to it later. The lieutenant goes first. He draws a contract card and moves several of his workers to the Safre territory of the board, and the others to the Seminine Islands.
All right, detective, your turn.
You have a few options available to you. Will you try to fulfill contracts right away or rearrange your workers to maximize production on future turns? Remember what the rulebook said. You'll want to choose a strategy early on and stay committed to it. What? It's the very beginning of the game. Your workers haven't even done any work yet. That's more like it. You produce a handful of archaeological treasures and a smattering of other resources. Meanwhile, the lieutenant spends 2 of his sugar and 1 of his apricot tokens to complete his contract card. He is rewarded with 4 coins and a round wooden token that he places in the center of the board.
That's a market. It's worth 2 victory points. Don't worry, it was mostly just luck. You'll earn some points soon enough.
What is that patronizing tone? You're one of the suzerain's trusted administrators. You may need to put the lieutenant in his place.
Points are nothing. They don't exist. They're just an arbitrary convention that games use to reward or punish players for certain behaviors. Game designers, I imagine? There are some paranoid types who believe the moral intern keeps detailed score sheets for everyone in the real belt, but that's obviously nonsense. Otherwise, no. There are no points, just your actions and the consequences of those actions. That's just the way it is. Now, I believe it's your turn.
Glancing over the board, you see several possible strategies. Pressing more workers into service would increase your economic output and help you to survive a possible conflict with the lieutenant. Or you could ignore your labor supply and focus on fulfilling contracts for points and resources. Those aren't your only options. You could also show your workers how much you appreciate them by investing some of that wealth in them. After all, they're the ones producing wealth for the suzerain. Well, sure, you can do that. It's just not a terribly effective strategy, but then it's up to you. Using your powers of persuasion, you convince more workers to join your cause. After several turns, your worker tokens greatly outnumber the lieutenants. A vast army of expendable labor is at your command.
Too bad investing in your workers just isn't worth many points. Take a look at the scoring tables in the back. You see in Table 8C that investing in territorial infrastructure multiplies your final victory point total by 1, which is to say not at all. Whereas erecting monuments in Revachol gives you a multiplier of 5. Yes, precisely.
Nonsense. Remember what the lieutenant said. If points are arbitrary, who cares about winning? You should reject their system and just play how you want. Now it's the lieutenant's turn to respond. He moves aggressively onto the Safre territory. Soon, his workers are producing a steady supply of extremely valuable apricots. How can you let the lieutenant dominate you like that? You need to hit back, and hard. For several turns, you struggle to respond to the lieutenant's burgeoning apricot empire. Eventually, you relocate the majority of your workers to Supremawindi and Saramaritsa, where they begin producing a bumper crop of cocaine tokens. You draw a new contract card. According to the text, there's an aristocrat willing to trade a large supply of cocaine for a number of coins and access to a rare bonus. Amplified music worth 7 victory points. Oh yeah, baby. Cocaine and rock music go together like cocaine and rock music. You know, this isn't unlike the situation the historical Revacholian suzerainty faced in Safre in the middle of the last century. Well, the suzerain was looking for new markets for all the cocaine it was producing, and it settled on Safre. By introducing cocaine into Safre under exclusive contract, the suzerain created an extremely valuable captive market for an extremely addictive product. If you could somehow get the lieutenant's workers addicted to your cocaine, you could not only make them less productive, you would also force the lieutenant to pay you for your cocaine tokens each turn. Yes, you can. It's right there in the rules. Now's your chance. Show the lieutenant what happens when he patronizes you. You've reached a critical strategic juncture. How do you respond to the lieutenant's aggression? With each passing turn, you slowly bleed the lieutenant of coins as his own workers become less productive and more dependent on your magenta cocaine tokens. As a matter of historical fact, this is almost exactly what happened in Safre. To this day, fully half of the former Safre Empire remains dependent on international aid in exchange for a steady supply of cheap produce.
More or less.
Realizing victory is slipping away, the lieutenant launches a desperate gambit: protectionism. By erecting tariffs on your cocaine, he hopes to starve you out of the market at the risk of incurring the end game is upon you. Do you escalate the trade war with the lieutenant in hopes of crushing him with your economic might? Or do you ignore his aggression and focus on building the mighty victory column structure in Revachol herself? Alternatively, you could throw the whole game away by trying to build a public education system for the children of your workers. The choice is yours. Building the ultimate structure requires diligent economic planning, which you completely fail to do. Rather than build a glorious monument to Revachol's economic superiority, you have to settle for a handful of post offices and school for the blind.
A risky gambit, detective. Sorry it didn't pay off. That might have helped, yes. Now, let's tally up the scores, shall we?
Computing the final scores is almost a game unto itself. You each spend an inordinate amount of time making stacks of coins, consulting tables, and struggling with basic addition and multiplication. After double, then triple checking your maths, you have your final score. 15 victory points. The suzerain will not be impressed.
I've got 26 points. Don't be glum, detective. There's always next time. Figuratively, I mean. There's no way we have time to play this game again. Now, let's clean up and get back to work.
You hold the open game box before you. An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind, you rattle the handle a bit, then push on the door with all your weight. It does not budge. Not only is it locked, it's also jammed shut.
We don't get in there. Frankly, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you can't get in through every single door.
No. We've gotten into every door thus far. That's what we do. We open doors. We're cops. That's our perk. Even Everard knew that's a part of our MO.
Yeah, I understand you. I like opening doors as much as the next guy. But this one is simply beyond repair and we don't have the resources needed to open it. Relax. No one's hiding in there. If we can't open it, Others can't either, and thus they can't get in.
At least you can think about opening it, about doors in general. They are, after all, fundamental to your life. Perhaps something useful would come from this.
It's military. The washer won't...
It may have been used to serve. You pick up the handset. There's a tone. The machine is operable. Calling, calling, calling. Still call, still.
Stop calling me, man. I'll get you your money, alright? I just need till tonight. Let me work.
The phone gets hanged up fast as light disconnect. Calling. Sounds like he hasn't talked to anyone in quite a while.
If I could go just 1 month without writing, no, 2 months, I could regenerate my brain. Fucking liberalism.
The man disappears with a sigh. You do not hear the customary disconnect tone, just silence in the handset. The machine is still waiting for you to dial a number. Seems like it did not have time to swallow the coin. This sometimes happens. Lucky you, the call went too fast for the payphone to register. You can still make a new one without paying. You close your eyes and put your index finger on the rotary dial, then pull down on the number, then move one up, and repeat the motion twice. Strange. This is not how you started before. You dialed 001. This is not the area code of Revachol. It is another destination on another Isola, some far-off nation-state. 005 is Revachol, ZOC. 001 is Grad, on the Grad Isola, where the telephone was invented. The next 2 digits you dial are the area code for the city of Mirova. 414447. The rotary dial feels cold from the sea air. 1117361. Your fingers keep moving like a spider every time the ring rotates back with a little ring of metal, like a bell tolling. Yes, 451-67451. You are going deeper now, into some unknown place, far away from this island of matter and its telecommunication networks. 451. You have dialed God knows how many numbers. The headset has been waiting silently to relay a signal. Surely nothing can come of this, you think. But it does. A connection. An ultra-long distance call. Your air fills with a crackle, the wash of a strange ocean full of white noise. A little bird starts ringing in there, not like the local calling tone before. No, a small ring in a cage of distortion, far away. A distant network of phones. Calling. Calling in the night. The saddest sound in the world. Both pitiful and terrifying. You feel your pulse rising with each ring. Calling still. Ringing by the bedside of a dark but capacious apartment with long windows. You know this to be true. The handset starts slipping from your sweaty palm. Your breathing is heavy. You just do, and you know it is going to hurt. The lieutenant is too far away to hear your yelp. The sea wind blows. You can't. Some strange force is keeping the headset glued to your hand, your ear listening to the ring in the speaker. Calling, 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 calling still. Then the ocean breaks. Out of the depths, a woman's voice emerges, small, the dearest thing you've ever heard.
Hello? No. It's you, isn't it? It's you. Who is this? Dora, who is this? The connection is bad.
Dora. The name feels like a gift. A gift that was meant for you, to make it possible to live. And fight. In the distorted distance, you hear someone turning next to her. Don't react. Whatever you do, don't react to that last thing.
What? Oh no. Is that you?
This is too much. You need to recede.
Oh no, not this. What time is it? You're not a revolutionary, Harry. You're drunk.
You only have 2, maybe 3 things left to say before the change runs out.
Because it's me. Look, I don't understand what you're saying or why you're calling me. You seem drunk. Oh, God. Do you know what time it is? It's so late here. It's 4 o'clock, Harry. I need to wake up in 2 hours. What do you want to talk about that we haven't talked about already?
This is bad. You feel your right hand on the handset cramping up with pain.
No. I want to go to sleep. Yes, I'm in my rover. Sleeping. To work. The academy, where I work.
No response, only a sigh. The connection crackles like burning paper. What are you doing to yourself right now? Fun? You need to stop. Harry, you're killing yourself. She does not answer anymore.
Harry.
Disconnect tone. The machine ran out of money. You dial the number again. 26 pulls of the rotary dial. The machine eats the coin, and a terrifying ocean of distance rustles in your ear. In the middle of it, a familiar ring. Small, distorted. Calling, calling, calling. Calling, 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 calling. It looks like she doesn't want to pick it up, Harry. Stop scaring her. Come on, you know why. Calling, calling.
Harry, please.
Underneath it, she is naked and warm under a blanket.
Please. I'm going to hang up now. okay?
Phone hanging up. Disconnect tone. You dial the number again, as you've done many times. You remember it well now. 001 41 44 47 11 17 361 451 67 451 451. Calling, 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 and calling for who knows how long, but no one answers. You need to insert more money to call again. The cold metal is hard and hurts your knuckles. You look at them, turning purple. It didn't give you any fun for that money. Your hand is turning blue now. Blood drips to the ground. Bent metal, broken glass. Your path lies strewn with the broken forms of everyday objects. You are the destroyer, the bane of inanimate matter. Kudos.
Yes?
Hello. Isn't this a fine morning?
A few locusts trudge along the wall of the trap. Poor thing. The trap is filled with dead. Poor thing.
Always my pleasure to be of assistance to the RCM. Godspeed, and if we don't meet again, bonne chance.
A metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. There's a bitter, caustic taste on the tip of your tongue as you life is garbage.
Oh, hey, man. It's good to see you. It's to
Is that a ball?
Yes, it is, man. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
If you don't know what the founding party is,
Come to think of it, I've never really looked them up, you know. I can't give you a precise definition, but they have roots in ancient mass society. You're right, they do.
The Pericarnassian church is about love. And Nordic music is about love. I got love for my Pericarnassian posse. Love is the relay out of death. We dance. Love is hardcore.
Unity. Unity.
Make some noise for my Insulindian posse.
you feel it. The anodes and the cathodes coursing through you. Your big toe starts tapping along to the base, as if testing the waters.
Yeah!
He seems it.
Do it for the... I didn't want to...
The one with the... You feel like you could go for a little disco, where...
Goodbye, officer. Oh, hey, man. It's good to see you. Goodbye, officer.
Yes?
No response. He's having trouble processing it.
Have you tried
There is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice, like he's tired of hearing about your personal affairs.
Focus on other people's troubles, not your own. That is a relief.
Your heart beats twice like a fist. The serotonin deficiency makes your teeth clench. The lieutenant blinks, his mouth slightly open, and his body motionless. A micro...
Excuse me, I was lecturing you. I shouldn't have. You should consult a medical professional if you feel that you need help.
This habit of dispensing wisdom has been brought to his attention before. He will not think less of you for lashing out. He is trying to curb it. A moment passes. The lieutenant glances at...
Excuse me? You have a distinctive way of walking. I hope you don't take... They say...
Yes, but containers contain things, shiny things. There, he's simply passing along frivolous into...
Yo, man. What's on your mind?
Yes, what is it? The creepy woman! We were wondering about that when we worked there, but I had completely forgotten about it ever since. It must be anthroponetic crosstalk, the one you get in radios and long-distance calls. Now it makes sense, with the pale right on the doorstep.
Incredible. This would also explain why we get it on the police radio all the time.
It's quite common, actually. When the signal gets routed through Pale, all kinds of irregularities take place. You may hear snippets of someone else's conversation, or the voice of your former lover, or an echo of an event that took place 100 years ago. Pale is a shroud of memories, and it doesn't really distinguish to whom those memories belong to. You could hear anything. Anytime. The swallow, you mean? What about it? Great. Thanks.
Welcome back. Sure. You helped us. Sure.
A better deal! Yeah! Medium!
The mother of humanism stands above.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. Not much. Some things
So...
No.
She's not telling you all she knows. Keep her talking.
Well, there's that music. Music from across the sea. Huh. It started a few days ago, and now it's blasting, even through the night. And now, suspicious-looking people are sneaking around the church. I don't like that.
Those would be the dance music enthusiasts in their tent. She nods, rinsing and...
Just us.
The place is so pornographically poor. She nods, rinsing another piece of cloth.
Me? Now it's your turn, Mr... Why would I do that? That's a fool's name. Are you a fool? Don't ridicule yourself before an old woman, officer. It's undignified.
Tequila sunset. Of course. Drink first, story later. Not much, but it will do. This last one is the most Martinet story I've ever heard. I've never heard it mentioned outside of here. At first, I thought it was a joke, to be honest. But I've been on the coast 8, 9 months now, and in that time I've seen at least 3 expeditions come through, searching for something.
A shovel hits the sand somewhere behind the reeds, near an abandoned construction yard. The young men look over their shoulders suspiciously. The sound of their digging seems loud in the sudden silence.
Magic animals? No, man, this is serious stuff. No, Tequila. Most people already know where they live. It's guys like you and me that are the exceptions. Hey, hey! Fuck you, Tequila. All kinds. I've seen archaeologists, gangsters, even a bunch of ad agency types. I'm telling you, Tequila, this thing's got a pull on certain kinds of people. You know, obsessive types, people with predilections. Some of those expeditions come back after a week or so, looking haggard and dejected. Others don't return at all. The first time I saw one of these expeditions, I thought they were fucking with me. There was no way it could be true. It was just too high concept, even for me.
Wait. There's no way. It can't be. Or can it?
I'm not even sure I should be telling you this story, to be perfectly honest. You're in a fragile state, and it might be too much for you to handle. Okay, fine, I'll tell you. But I'm warning you, it's pretty out there. Our story begins at a legendary design studio, right here in Martinez. There was this designer. His exact name is lost to history, but in life, he was a legend. Made it big in Aranya, where he did some real pioneering work on grotesque and sans serif typography. A fucking genius, man. That is, if he even existed. Who knows? It's an urban legend, after all.
He existed, all right. You feel it deep within your basal ganglia. He was as real as you are. I'm talking about...
Anyway, sometime later he started his own personal studio here in Martinez. And that's when he started working on some really wild stuff. I'm talking some glass-smooth, forward-looking design language, the kind of thing that would totally overthrow the old regime, design-wise.
A paradigm-shattering revolutionary?
But then something turned. You see, it's widely known that nose candy and pioneer graphic design work go hand in hand. You know tequila, nose candy, the White Railroad, party powder.
The kids on the streets also call it Snow Day.
Or Emelan Gold. For the plateau on which most of the world's supply is grown and harvested, typically by slave labor.
Sinus salt, the White Knight.
Can't see, for its popularity among the aristocratic class of the prior century.
Along with a number of more banal street names. Blow, of course, but also flake, powder, pearl. Really, anything that's white will work. He's talking about cocaine.
Shit, yeah, tequila. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got to understand, the work this guy was doing was so high concept that regular amounts of cocaine just weren't cutting it. By the end, they were bringing it in by the lorry load. Now, as you might imagine, snorting that much cocaine can't be healthy for a regular human, right?
Right. Wrong. Do it all the time. All day, baby.
Hey, tequila, pay attention. The story goes that one day he was balls deep in work on what he thought would be his pièce de résistance, an advert so minimal it contained neither text nor images, just pure white. Apparently the idea was too high concept even for this genius. He dropped dead right at his desk before he could finish. His last words are recorded to have been, "It's as white as a blizzard of cocaine." I know, tequila. I know. But the story doesn't end there. Supposedly, when they performed the autopsy, the coroner discovered nearly 1/4 kilo of coke jammed into his nasal cavity.
That's almost certainly anatomically impossible. Wrong again, nerd. Where there's a will, there's a way.
That's right. 250 grams of blow had accumulated in there over the years. We're talking high-grade Saramaritsian pure. Not that cut-rate shit your grandma does. There are those who believe the designer was buried with this quarter key of nose candy still lodged in his sinuses. That's what those expeditions are looking for.
The cocaine skull.
The cocaine skull. No. Wow! Here's the kicker. This designer, this lead designer of a world-famous design studio, was born in Martinez. A local boy, Martin Martinez. That's why he brought his studio here, back to where it all began. And that's why they buried him here, too. Perhaps right under Ab's pipe there. Or probably further down the coast, or in some yard in Martinez proper. A hidden mausoleum, no one knows exactly.
No, my grandma always told me his grave lay somewhere on the islets on the bay.
This is ludicrous, and physically impossible. Sinuses can contain that amount of anything.
Now, detective. Always the skeptic. My only question is, where does one get a shovel?
The archaeologists say they want to put it in a museum, the gangsters say they want to sell it on the black market, and the ad agency guys say they're seeking inspiration.
Bullshit. They just want to snort it. But you could beat them to it, Harry. You could snort the magic skull cocaine instead.
I'm pretty sure they all just want to snort it, though.
And why wouldn't they, eh? Sounds like right strong stuff.
Don't listen to him or his grandma. He's just making things up.
No, my grandma told me. I've heard other people say it too. That it's underwater. Or no, maybe it was the storm sewers.
Or maybe it's in the air, or in an ancient state pyramid offshore.
In a pyramid? Now that would be something.
They're pretty vague about it in general. The gangsters like to claim they're looking for the grave of a friend, with picks and shovels. The archaeologists act all official about it, saying they're conducting serious research. Honestly, I think they're not really scientists, just rich. The junkies, for some reason, are pretty upfront about it. They just say they're looking to snort some blow out of a dead man's nasal cavity.
Honest men on an honest quest. You should join them.
By now, I'd say I know about as much about it as anyone on the coast. Whoa. Hold on just a minute. Finding it right now is literally impossible.
What?
For one, the way is blocked by that big lorry that says Delta Logistics Company on the side. You definitely have to search the area behind that lorry too, yet it is impassable. And second, outfitting an expedition like that is expensive. It'd have to be a big production to do the cocaine skull justice. You need new gear, people who know what they're doing, all kinds of provisions. It's just not feasible within the economic and temporal frame of our current setup. Matter of fact, unless a bunch of money just falls out of the sky, we might never know what's up with that skull.
I have to agree. We barely have what we need to solve the case we've got now. We can't afford to run around chasing after quasi-mythical pieces of drug paraphernalia. Besides, it would look extremely bad for the RCM to be caught up in something that has the word cocaine writ large on it. The PR is tricky on this.
What are you talking about? Don't give up. Maybe there's another way. Maybe up around the coast.
Your loss could have been an amazing, ridiculous adventure.
That's all right. We've got plenty of adventures for one case.
Not that I can think of, currently. That might be the case, yes.
An old door, worn. Just dead and dying locusts, and the slow swaying of poor thing.
Hello. Isn't this a fine morning?
Oh, hey, man. It's good. Goodbye, officer.
Yes, what is it?
It's you again. What is it? It's you again. What is it?
Convince Titus he's being manipulated? Bad idea. Bringing her up will do no good. You should know by now. Titus will never falter. Just remember, it's about more than Glasia. It's about these men and Martinez. Their district, their responsibility. Outside, under the rising sun, tattered and in ruins, the windows of the cafeteria aglow with her morning light. Huh? He'll get it. Go on.
Got it. Kill you because they don't like you. All because...
Bring that up one more time, and you won't get to write that report.
The man's fists under the table are balled. You can tell from his neck and shoulders. He means it.
Yes, I understand, Alain. That's your name, right, Alain? You'll kill us. That's what they do in the wild north.
It wasn't that. It wasn't... We just couldn't get him down, okay?
That's it. That's the weak one. You flushed him out. Now go in for the...
Officer, you will be next if you don't shut up.
Firearm. A Glass 08 or a 38 caliber pistol. Either is small enough for you to have missed. He's onto you. He knows what you're trying to do.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm too old for a shot like that now.
Too late. There is an awful ringing in your ears. The most. To your right, you sense that you only manage to perform one more movement. And...
It's you again. What is it?
Convince Titus he's been. Just remember, outside. Huh? He'll get it.
Got it.
Bring that...
The man's...
Yes, I understand, Alain.
It wasn't that...
That's it.
Officer.
Firearm. A Glass... He's onto you. He knows what you're trying to do. The lieutenant has put down his notebook. His hand is resting on his holster. He gives you an imperceptible nod. What? What does that mean?
We didn't kill him. We didn't even hang him. He was dead when...
Shut up, Angus!
Fatty! Say one more thing to the cops and I'll...
Dennis, stand down, or I'll beat your head in. Theo, take your hand off the belt. This isn't 31. I've got this under control.
The room falls quiet. So quiet, You can hear Angus wheeze.
Angie, where's your goddamn inhaler? You sound like you're dying.
I left it home. I can't get it. I'm too fucked. I'm sorry.
Why are you so fucking fat, Angus? Now it's all pointless. Because of you. You wasted my time. I told you, Titus. I told you just give her up.
Lizzie, your help is no longer needed here. Go tell Everard.
Fine. I'll tell him. After a long walk along the coast.
What just happened between these two? You're in. He's all yours. Questions.
Me too.
The lieutenant gives a smile only you can see. He nods.
You hanged the corpse to cover up the real cause of death, the bullet in his head.
Another nod.
'Cause the girls asked us to. They were in some shit.
Girls plural? There's another girl? 2 of them? Take note of this. They'll probably say more about her later.
Did she kill him?
Cop, I have no idea. The girl says she didn't.
He doesn't think she did. Or at least he hopes she didn't.
Classier came down. She seemed really out of it. Drugged up, even more than usual. Bug-eyed and gurning, you know? Not in a fun way. It looked like she'd redosed after something went down. I've seen that look before. She was scared. I knew someone had died. I've done this job for 10 years. I've seen it before. It's the politician in the motel room with the dead hooker scenario. Only in reverse.
Good analogy, boss.
You don't get to talk yet, Shanky. You're still on the bench. And you keep taking it easy too, Angus. We went upstairs. Sure as day the merc was dead. There was a bullet hole through the window. Fucking dirty sheets and bottles everywhere.
He means they'd been fucking?
Tibbs patched the window. And the corpse. We hanged. Yeah. He's my brother. He's in the window replacement business.
Tibbs. That's short for?
Yeah. Good man.
Bet their father's named Atticus Hardy. Lucretia Hardy would be their sister. Anyway.
You may have noticed our girl's in some shit of her own. Oh, you meant that kind of training, like a spy. Maybe. The kind of people who are after her. I guess she'd have to be. They're powerful, connected to the moral intern. She's clearly afraid for her life. Says if she showed up in your systems, she'd be ghosted away.
That's all he knows. That's all she's told him.
And why would you help someone like that? By taking on a murder?
Why would I? I guess we abide all sorts of runaways and losers here. It's a Martinez thing. Not yet. Just some ideas. She says the shot came from outside, behind the window somewhere. So that's a clue. I'm thinking someone's past caught up with them. Either hers or his.
Hers, you mean?
I mean the people after Clausia. Maybe the shot missed. Maybe it was meant for her.
I like that. Been thinking the same thing myself.
My dude. One of those mercenary buddies of his could have done it. They got guns, training, years of bad blood, probably. Or it could have been someone else from Crenell. Tell you what I'd do. Check out the coast for vantage points. Maybe consult with a ballistics buddy of mine. That's what I'd do if I wasn't too busy doing this clown dance with you. In a manner of speaking.
Remember the two girls? He may be talking about the other one.
That's right. It was her idea to hang him. I liked it, for political reasons. It sent a good message. Fella, you think too much. He's off all right. You're gonna hurt your head.
A little too far there, but you're definitely right.
That woman is just affiliated with the Hardy Boys. You don't know her, anyway. Nope. You're not getting to her. It's Klasia you want to talk to. You do that. Hey, cop. Before you go.
Suddenly, the wind picks up outside. You hear it rattling the large windows in their frames. It carries newspapers, circles the whirling in rags in a warm column.
She, Klasia, came to Martinez to hide. Many of us did. This is where you wash up when there's nowhere left to go. The Union takes you in. Now, she refused that protection. But that's right. If we didn't take care of the people who end up here, this place would just be a couple of ruins and some cargo containers.
We'll take that into account.
It's always good to see you.
Something in her demeanor has changed. She's tired, consigned to her fate, to being here with you and what's to come.
I understand.
Just like that. No resistance. Her shoulders are slouched, her feet long and straight.
I knew there was a chance you'd get them to tell you. It's what you do. You're the police. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for wasting your time.
This is good. Clear the air first, between you two, then move on to questions. No, it's not good. It's the opposite of that. This will let her dictate the terms of your... Shush, I can't hear what she's saying. Let the miss speak. She's tall and thin and tired. A twig trying so hard not to break.
If you knew we would find out eventually, why did you waste our time?
Because of the Hardys. I couldn't just dispense with them. They were only trying to help me. Out of the shit I'd gotten into. You're right. There's more. You answer to the coalition government, and by extension, the moral intern.
Briefly glancing over her shoulder to the sea, as she's done time and time again. A grand expanse of water reaches over the bay and to the horizon, golden grey in the noonlight. The Pearl, the Muindi Isola, the Occident, and then Aranye, the old, old world.
You share a database with them. You send people to their courts. Just business, but bad business for some people in the moral intern. If I show up in your records, officer, they will find me. They will...
What happens if they do?
They will kill me, sir. If you file my name, take me in for questioning, enter me into the moral intern mill, well, then I'm fucked. For nothing. This murder didn't have anything to do with me.
Fucked? People after her? Moral intern people? This isn't Orionese lit. Actually, this murder did have a little to do with her.
I did. I also had a side job selling insurance that I was really good at. Got picked up by a bank. Competitive intelligence, they called it. After that, I sort of, transitioned out of the whole culture scene. It's not nice, but it's not illegal. Not here in Ravishol, or even in Oranje.
What exactly did you do?
Industrial espionage. I joined a business collective with the intention of betraying them. I did my job well enough to be asked to do it again. With a bigger company. The kind you really, really don't fuck with. I took their ledgers, 2 decades worth of accounting.
I need the names of the companies involved and who hired you.
The job was Lou's County Savings Bank. They sound small, but they're part of the Lou Scott conglomerate. That was the second job. The first was some printer company. You wouldn't know them. As to who hired me for the job, I don't know. But they're after me too, along with Lou Scott and their friends in the MI. Once you're done in the competitive intelligence circuit, you don't have allies. You're radioactive.
Lowe's cap. These people engineer financial disasters in second world countries. The conglomerate also includes the Bank of Consecration, Airberg, and the popular Papalolo line of dairy products.
Yeah. Papa fucking Lolo wants to kill me. Sure. I'm not a war criminal, but it was bad. People lost their jobs. Good people, too, not just C-suite. A lot of people got hurt, but that's just more of my shit you shouldn't have to deal with. You're solving a murder. We were there. Together. In bed, I mean. Okay. He was in a kneeling position. He had just entered me. I was on my back, looking at him. I heard the window behind me shatter, and I turned to look. There was a hole in the glass. I turned back to him. His eyes were looking through me, and his mouth was open. Dumb. I could see.
A great pain moves through her, a dark and indefinite wave. She continues in spite of it.
I knew he was dead before he fell down on top of me. He was heavy. I pushed him off and he fell to the floor. There. He only had his boots on. I bit the pillow, not to scream, then ran downstairs. I waited for the second shot to come. For me. I thought there would be one. It never came.
She's forgotten about her cigarette. The butt has burned right down to her fingernails.
Oh. So am I.
What time was this? When did it happen? It would help us if you could be as precise as possible.
11:30 to 12:15. I don't know the exact time. Around midnight.
It's okay. Were you inebriated?
Not as much as usual. He'd done a line, plus other things. I was drinking.
Wait. Titus said she was gurning her jaw off, much more than usual.
Oh, yeah. I did one of his lines, just to clear my head.
Good thinking. Clear your head. You should clear your head. Get into his mindset.
Did you hear or see the shooter in the course of this?
No. Nothing. I was trapped. I was stuck in my room downstairs. I got some clothes on and crawled back up, drew the blinds. Blood was coming from his mouth. Not a lot. Just a little. He was still on the floor, slouched. I couldn't be there with him anymore, so I ran down and out of my room, into the hallway, down the stairs. I knew there would be people there. Sylvie was tending the bar. A lot of people were there. The Hardys were at the table in front of the stage. I think the Union box was full. Ruby was there too. They were having such a good time. I sat down and they all welcomed me. I didn't even have to say anything. Ruby knew something was wrong.
Ruby?
Ruby. You know, the leader.
The leader? Of what?
The Hardy Boys. Well, nominally, yes. Ruby's the one they go to when things happen, like things they need taken care of. She's the organizer.
Would you say she is the 8th Hardy Boy?
Why not? Well, Ruby said let's talk upstairs. I showed her the room. I've known these people since December. They know my situation, that I can't leave a paper trail. Ruby was the first one I told. She said she'd take care of this. It's what she does, you know, take care of things. I helped her get the body to the bathroom. We used a belt to pull him up under the shower, to keep him upright.
To mislead you, they were tampering with the body.
To produce lividity, matching a hanging?
Yes.
This is concurrent with your doubts at the autopsy about the colouring being.
About half an hour had passed since the moment of death.
She nods.
You were late. The marks would be faint by that time.
In honor of another precise forensic observation. You have it in you to be a champion. Keep your head in the game now.
Ruby went outside to talk to Titus and the boys. I was just looking at Lely in the bathroom. I had to put his clothes back on. His armor, too. It was tough, but I've seen him take it off and put it on many times. It took Ruby maybe half an hour to come back with Titus. I'd gotten him ready by then. They carried him out. I knew what they were going to do. make it look like a hanging. Ruby said they would. Ruby said to wait here. She also said I wouldn't see her for a while, that we should lay low or something. So I did. I don't know. I haven't seen her since.
We will need to take this question to the Hardy Boys.
Interesting. Why did this Ruby go through so much trouble to hide something someone else did? Look into this later.
When he was shot? I may have. I don't know. I couldn't hear anything over the glass exploding.
The gunshot wasn't that loud. This is something to keep in mind when assessing the distance of the shot.
What? Why would I put myself through this? Insanity. Get myself cornered like this. He wouldn't have died if it weren't for me. I know that. But I would never hurt him.
All kinds of crazy things happen when drugs are involved. Sweet, sweet drugs. It could have been a desire murder. Maybe an act of jealousy. He was a serviceman. He must have had a gun lying around, close to her hand, a military weapon using jacketed ammunition.
I'm sad to hear that. They must have said it in some fit of frustration or under pressure. They couldn't have meant it. I've talked to them after it happened. No one has implicated me.
She's getting scared now of you, the downstairs people, all of it.
I did not kill him to defend myself from rape. I told you before. That wasn't what happened.
True, sire. 'Tis true. She simply shakes her head. She has the training for it. 2, maybe 3 years of self-defense. Her body is hard and lean underneath that jumpsuit.
What does that mean?
Do drugs make you aggressive?
No. People don't take drugs to kill each other. They take them to feel okay with each other. I thought Ravachol would be more enlightened about this, especially since you've taken them yourself.
The lieutenant gives you a sideways glance. It's not one of respect. You may want to add a clever retort to this one. She looks at you, confused. The lieutenant shares her confusion. Respond with something professional, now.
No. I specifically asked him not to carry firearms when he was with me. He only had his stupid armor. I don't know. His friends have rifles. Maybe those psychos did it? Coalition military have rifles. I'm not a munitions expert, and I did not shoot him.
She might have been a tad disingenuous when she avoided talking about the bullet in his head before.
I've said I'm sorry. What more do you want me to say? I did my best not to lie. It didn't always work. What is that? No. I thought Ravachol would be more enlightened.
The lieutenant, it's not one of respect. You may want to add a clever retort to this one.
I'm sorry. I withdraw what I said. I didn't mean to judge anyone. Like what? That's the first thing that went through my head when I heard the glass break. I thought they'd found me. They've killed him to punish me. All last week, I've tried not to talk to anyone or be seen with anyone, so they wouldn't be hurt. I've come to understand, however, this is paranoia. What happened didn't have anything to do with me. I just don't know. I don't know anything.
We can't go after Loose Cap. Not yet. There are other, saner leads.
I don't ask you to, Lieutenant. If there's one thing I know, it's that you'll get nothing from there. Because I'm an idiot.
Which is an indicator of truth. Idiot. She's nothing of the sort.
You have to understand, the people around here, no one was making the call, and he kept rotting. And then they picked his clothes off, and that little fucker threw stones at him.
Her jaw is clenched. Her throat moves. It takes all her strength not to cave in and sob. Once. Just one time.
He kept throwing stones at him for 3 days. I could hear the thud. Thud. So I called you. I hope with all my heart it's not the last thing I do in Ravachol.
She definitely called the cops. That was task complete. It could not have been a lie. That is impossible. Oh God, that was a lie too. Who made the call then? She did, of course. Don't be paranoid, man. It's unbecoming of a police officer, and it makes you sweat.
Last week, Angus and Titus's brother, I think he's called Tibbs, took care of it.
You should have another look at that window after this. Reconstruct the scene. It's right there. Yes, you see the glass sparkling out of the corner of your eye. She nods, silently. She doesn't even smoke. Just picks up the cold coffee and holds it in her hands. He's thinking, are we done here? Or should we arrest her? She's a flight risk and she lied to you. She should be taken into custody. No, that won't be necessary. Just leave her alone. She's been through enough. She doesn't need this police brutality. This guy won't budge. You have to wake Multiface up, forcefully, if you want to continue pushing her. Who? What? Dear God, you've been lied to. She could have killed her lover and lied to everyone. She's not candid at all. She's smoke and mirrors and willow-wisps. She probably didn't give you her real name either. Why would she? Arrest her immediately before she further entangles you in her web of lies. Take it easy. Start at the top. Choose at the bottom. It's how we've always done it. No rush. See?
There may be grounds here, at least for an extended detention.
A little whimper. The young woman hears you. She's looking around.
I did. What is this? I called your desk or whatever it is. The numbers are all over town. Call 8-100-2 for emergencies. There was an older woman on the other end. It sounded like she was smoking. She took my complaint. She coughed.
That is the emergencies desk number. Anyone could know that, sire, by looking around and calling the desk. I don't believe a single word she says.
What time did you make the call?
Thursday night, It was late, sometime after 12.
It checks out.
But I know the time of the call, too. I know I have not been 100% truthful with you officers, but I am now. What?
Her hand trembles. She's only pretending she didn't hear you say, devil woman.
I agree. You wouldn't give us your real name, not when people are after you.
Okay. Okay, it's not. You log your work every week. It's all transmitted to Common, sir. I couldn't just beg you not to enter my name. So I lied. Like I lied before. Like I did at LCSB. I have to lie all the time. I'm so tired of it. No. It's submerged in a plastic buoy on the coast, in the reeds. It just doesn't say Clausia Amandu. It says Anouk Mea Smith.
Falsified documents?
Passport and visa. Given to me by my employer. I can't even use them. My employer probably leaked the name, Mea Smith, to hurt me.
Why would they do that?
I didn't show up to a rendezvous. They don't take that lightly. I didn't show up because I was afraid they'd do something to me. The job was finished. I'm just a liability now.
She fears an arrest right here and now. This has been an awful turn of events for her.
West of the boardwalk, in the reeds, on the coast there. I put it there when I first arrived. Haven't been there since. I'm not sure I could even find it now. It's useless.
The wind rises, so do the hairs on your back. Somewhere west, small bubbles rise from a plastic ball floating in the water. Rusty, the color of oversteeped tea. Long, spindly arms are spinning the buoy around, turning it, inspecting it like a magic 8-ball, trying to find a way to snap it open.
Nothing is useless.
The lieutenant makes a note of it.
You're welcome to it. It's in the reeds northwest of here, past the Bergen sewage pipe, right near the waterline. It's Katarzyna Lazie.
It's a Grad name, Jimsk or Yugograd in origin, not Occidental at all. Smells of motor oil, tiger, economic desolation, and rock music-infused alcoholism. It also makes Clausia almost an alacronym for Katarzyna Alazia.
It was a sentimental thing. I wanted to be more me here, this time. So I used my nickname.
A nickname? Who gave you this nickname, Clausia?
A teenage boy. 1,000,000 years ago. My parents were Zemsk immigrants, but I'm nationalized Oranese. All I remember is Oranje. Alasie is my father's name.
She nods. Her round eyes meet yours. They seem moist from the wind on the roof.
I am. They can never take my sash and my scepter from me.
Yes, they can, for lying. She nods, her back straight, ready for whatever is next.
But I haven't done anything. Anything illegal.
She purposefully misrepresented information crucial to the case. Fucking mind games. Enough. That's right, gang. Stern and merciless now. Stern and merciless as we reel her in. The lieutenant produces a pair of handcuffs.
Please, no.
But there's nowhere to go. A 2-story drop to the Plaza Mosaic. If she could, she would have run before.
I think I know who did it. Who shot Lely. I can tell you. I can help you.
She's silent for a second, as if looking into herself for certainty. Then, in a hushed voice, she's gearing up for this betrayal is hard for her.
Ruby. She has this thing for me. Ever since I met her and the boys downstairs. She's been pretty frank about what she wants.
What she's saying is... sex?
And more. I made the mistake of confiding in her. I told her I was on the run. She started protecting me. It became an unhealthy relationship. When I started spending time with Lely, she told me to end it. Said there would be shit if I didn't. It was not a good meeting. We stopped talking after that, but...
I don't understand. What exactly in your relationship made you think she's romantically interested in you?
She said she's in love with me. She even asked me to run away with her when I told her I'm a fugitive. She started developing notions about our relationship.
And you led her on?
A little. I was flattered, you know? But then I had to let her off, and it was not easy. I came to regret being friendly with her. We maybe kissed, nothing more.
This is just an assumption.
I know what it sounds like. That's why I didn't want to tell you before. But she knew what had happened when I came downstairs. Somehow, she knew Lely was dead. She wasn't surprised at all. When we came up here, she was calm as a stone, too. She cleaned it all up like she had a plan.
This is a familiar theory. You had it too, remember? Could it be that Ruby was covering up after herself? The lynching?
She came over one night, drunk, said she'd turn my life into a living hell. I've been threatened before, so I can tell when someone knows how to do it. And she's a pro. She must be. To keep the Hardys in line. I tried severing ties with her after that. I thought it had worked, but...
Some of that fear is still with her. She exhales sharply. What are you talking about? She's afraid you'll arrest her.
You said there was a secret route there, right? She could have come up through there, then taken this shot, right here, where I stand. It was too dark outside. I wouldn't have seen her.
Then slipped back downstairs without anyone noticing. That is possible.
Interesting theory. Did she know that door exists? Had you been out there with her?
Yes. She's been up here many times. She used to come to drink on the roof when, She would have seen us. My bed is right next to...
You mean to suggest she made it?
No. No. Why would she do that to herself? No, I just remembered you told me about it, and
She's not really sure. It was right above the bed. She could have seen all sorts of things from there. Don't let your imagination run wild here, sire. Keep it on track. Okay, and what? Arrest the liar now. Why? She told us some pretty interesting things there. She's stuck here. She's already in prison. Look around. She's only trying to help you. Her. Stop letting her distract you.
Thank you. Thank you. You won't regret it.
Something tells you, you will. She nods.
Okay.
She slowly lights another cigarette and steadies her breath, as if in the presence of some tiger. You are. This is not the end of this.
Lies.
Yes, we demand she be punished for deceiving us. We demand her anxiety. We demand her fear. She nods.
Okay.
She slowly lights another cigarette and steadies her breath. As you look back, you think, so love did do him in, after all. If it weren't for her, he would not have been there. The shot would not have connected with his soft plate. She's silent, holding on to her coffee mug. No vapor rises from it. It's cold. It appears this one has not been entirely corrupted. This may help. This may help the others see. No. Communism killed him. Remember? Love made it possible. You know this much.
Yeah. I'd like to think he didn't love me, or that it was chemically induced and not real. Easier that way. I don't know.
You do not know. A wind of needles. Airships flutter in the stratosphere. Who knows? It's getting cold out. You should go.